Hey there guys, so I'm back with some exciting news about Star Wars. So yesterday it was announced by Disney that the next animated Star Wars show, Star Wars Resistance, is in production. And of course the showrunner is Dave Filoni, who was also the showrunner for Star Wars The Clone Wars and Star Wars Rebels. So this is how much we know about Star Wars Resistance at the moment. An exciting new animated adventure series about Kusina Cieno, a young pilot recruited by the Resistance, is tasked with a top secret mission to spy on the growing threat of the First Order. Featuring a high-flying adventure, audience of all ages can expect from Star Wars. Star Wars Resistance is set time prior to Star Wars The Force Awakens, which featured the beloved BB-8 droid alongside the ace pilots, colourful new characters, appearance of fan favourites such as Poe Dameron, Captain Phasma, voiced by Oscar Isaac and Gwendolyn Christie. So I kind of knew the next Star Wars animated series was going to take place between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens, since there's so much you can do with that now, because there isn't much comics and books at the moment. We're not going to get any movies, of course, so I thought, a next Star Wars animated series should be between Return of the Jedi and Force Awakens, or maybe Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, but there's like 30 years to do with that timeline. Touching on my Star Wars knowledge, I'm thinking that Star Wars Resistance is going to take place 4 years before The Force Awakens, if you think about it, since this involves the Resistance quite a lot. And if you read the novel Bloodline by Claudia Gray, the Resistance is set up 7 years before The Force Awakens. So I feel like, and with animated shows these days, they tend to go on for like 4 seasons, maybe more or less. I don't know what they're going to do with Resistance. I mean, Rebels went on to 4 seasons. And with kids shows these days, I mean, at the end of the day, these Star Wars anime shows are really for kids, and they tend to go on for 4 years. The reason why they do that is because the kids grow up and they just get bored of it, really. They kind of grow on to new things, really, and that's life. But this is just my speculation. Touching on the plot, we're going to get more spacecraft, more races, anything to do with like X-Wings and stuff like that. And if you can see from the poster, there's like a hybrid X-Wing that's gold. So I really can't wait to get more in depth with that, because I'm just getting a bit like, I feel like every animated show has to have some sort of Jedi, and I feel like we're going to take a step back from the Jedi and focus on the second best thing about Star Wars, and that's like spacecraft. I mean, if you think about one of my favourite things about Rogue One, which is probably my third favourite Star Wars film, was the space battle. What they did with it, I mean, it was just amazing. This is really going to be focused on one character, Keanu Senu. We may get more supporting characters, but at the moment we're just going to focus on one. I believe like the show's going to focus like 50% on the main character, Keanu Senu, and 50% on the supporting characters like they did with Rebels. But my idea what they're going to do, he's going to become like a spy. Maybe he's going to be like a TIE fighter pilot. This is just my speculation, really, and he's going to be like going to depth with the First Order, which is cool. Also going to get characters from the new trilogy. We're going to get Poe Dameron, Captain Phasma, and BB-8, and they're also going to be voiced by their movie actors, Oscar Isaac and Christine Gwendolyn. Now, I have not read the Poe Dameron comics yet, but I'm great to watch some backstory for his character, see how he learns General Leia's trust. And with Captain Phasma, I feel like she does get bashed a lot for being underused in the movies, but clearly people haven't read the Phasma novel or the comic book series. We're going to get more of a redemption for the character. Having BB-8, I love BB-8, so my idea is kind of like he's going to be like the comic relief. I feel like he's going to be mostly used in this, not because he doesn't really need a voice actor, but he's more like the comic relief. I mean, R2 played a massive part in the Clone Wars, Chopper played a massive part in the Rebels, so I kind of feel like we need that droid in those episodes. Dave Filoni has also said this: the idea of Star Wars Resistance came out of the interest of World War II aircraft and fighter pilots. My grandfather was a pilot, my uncle flew and restored planes, so that's the big influence on me. There's a long history of high-speed racing in Star Wars. I think we've captured that sense of excitement in an anime-inspired style, which is something the entire team has been wanting to do for a long time. Now, when I think of high-speed racing in Star Wars, there's only 2 things I think about. The Kessel Run, of course, the Millennium Falcon. I think we're going to get some of that in the Han Solo film. And of course, the pod racing. I love pod racing. I wish they can bring that more into Star Wars. I wish they don't try and forget it. I mean, pod racing was one of the cool things in The Phantom Menace. Other than that, it could be like, ships flying and stuff like that. It could play a part into the main character, Keanu Senu. And the second thing, we're going to get an anime-inspired style. So we're clear we're going to get something different. Probably something similar to like Rebels and Clone Wars, but maybe a bit more anime. That's what I'm kind of thinking. I hope it's not like a completely different kind of like hand-drawn in a way. I just want it to be like slightly different, but not similar. I liked how Dave Filoni was inspired by his grandfather's uncle with World War II pilots and aircraft. I'm thinking of like, this could be like the Porco Rosso to Star Wars or The Wind Rises. Now, of course, there's two questions of the day. Firstly, is this going to tie into more into Force Awakens? Yes, of course, I think we're going to get more into Leia at some point and like possibly Supreme Leader Snoke and probably some stuff about the First Order, maybe some characters from like the original trilogy, possibly Luke Skywalker. But really, I think Star Wars Resistance should do its own thing at the meantime. For the first series anyway, then tie into like other things really. That's what kind of like Rebels and Clone Wars did. Of course, the question of the day, is this going to tie into the main plot where Star Wars Rebels kind of opened with? Yes, we're going to find Ezra at some point, but at the meantime, I think Star Wars Resistance should do its own thing, kind of like what Rebels did. I mean, Rebels, for the first series of Rebels, it kind of did its own thing. Then when you got to like the later series, it kind of tied into Clone Wars much more. So what Resistance should do, establish its characters, establish its environment, get used to the different kind of animation. Then when we get to the second series or maybe the third series, we're going to tie into like find Ezra, we're going to get more involved in Ahsoka, of course. But anyway, I'm really looking forward to Star Wars Resistance. I kind of predicted we're going to get a tie in between The Force Awakens. I knew they were going to announce it at some point. But I'm quite happily we're going to get more into like aircraft, that kind of thing. We're going to get more into X-Wings because, I mean, with the Clone Wars it focused more on war, then the second one it focused more on like the Jedi. With this one, I cannot wait to get more into like the aircraft kind of thing into Star Wars. Maybe some hybrids of X-Wings, maybe some B-Wings and Y-Wings. But anyway, what do you guys think about Star Wars Resistance? Are you looking forward to it? Are you kind of mediocre? Let me know. Till next time, I've got your back.